Well, good morning and welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. And you will find a different command of Jesus at our weekday Bible plan. We call it the 260 plan because it's 5 days a week. And you can go to bible.today.church and check this out. Also, if this is meaningful to you, it would mean a lot to me, and it's very encouraging. If you comment, if you like, if you share this, even if you share it, if you tag me, it really would help a lot. We just want to get the word out about what Jesus said. And these are soundbite versions of the commands, the teachings, the example that Jesus gave us. And he told us to go make disciples by teaching them to obey all the things that he said, that he commanded. And so we put these in soundbite versions so that we can do just that. And today's Jesus said, shine somebody's shoes. Now, that's not exactly what he said, but it's just a paraphrase so that we can get the meaning of it and remember it. This comes from John 13, 12 through 17, where at the Lord's Supper, the night before he was crucified, after washing their feet, this is verse 12 of John 13, he put on his robe again and sat down and asked, "Do you understand what I was doing? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, because that's what I am. And since I, your Lord, your master, and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet." Notice Jesus didn't say, you should have your feet washed. He said you ought to wash each other's feet. I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. Now, I tell you the truth, slaves are not greater than their master, nor is the messenger more important than the one who sends the message. Now that you know these things, God will bless you for doing them. What is God going to bless us for? Shining someone's shoes. Now, the reason I'm using that phrase instead of washing feet is because washing feet is not very common in our culture, or washing someone else's feet. However, in Jesus' day, it was very, very common because people walked everywhere. They wore open-toed shoes, and it was a very different culture than we have. And so in a place like where they had this meal before Jesus was crucified, it would be common for there to be a servant at the entrance with a basin of water and a towel, and to honor the guests that came in, they would have their feet washed before they went in to sit down and eat. But no one had done this. And so Jesus did this. He took the position of the slave. So here is the Lord and Master washing the disciples' feet. And he said, this is an example. Since I have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. Now you compare that with how we sometimes talk about church today, which is where we gather together as believers. You'll hear things like, well, I'm just not being fed, or that church just wasn't a fit for me. And it seems like that we're more concerned about what's being done to us rather than serving others. But it's not about getting our feet washed. It's about whose shoes can we shine. Jesus took the role of a slave when no one else would. Slaves don't quit, but employees, volunteers, even fans, they walk away when they're not treated exactly right. But that's not the Jesus way. We are supposed to shine others' shoes. We are supposed to take the same attitude that Jesus had. Paul talks about this in Philippians 2. He tells us not to be selfish, to not try to impress others, and to be humble, thinking of others as better than ourselves, not looking out for our own interests, but taking interest in others too, having that same attitude that Jesus had. Though he was God, he washed the disciples' feet. And that's the example he gave us, and that's literally the command that he gave us. It's not about what we're getting, but what are we giving? It's not about being served, it's about serving others. Jesus said, shine somebody's shoes. How can we put that into action today?